Welcome to 2MB Studios here on twitch.tv. I'm your host, Misinformation, and it's time to play a little game show that we call That Sounds Right. That Sounds Right is, of course, the trivia game show where it doesn't matter who is right, it only matters who sounds right. Tonight, you're going to meet 3 contestants, and you're going to be hearing them give some answers that sound pretty right. I'm not going to lie. Some of these answers are going to sound pretty darn right. And it's your job and my job as the host to assign points based on who we think sounds the most right. With me, as always, is my co-host, Will. Will, welcome back to That Sounds Right.
Will actually here. So glad to be with you, Misinformation.
So glad to have you.
So glad. I've got my paper and my pen. Going to be taking notes about who's actually right, who you think sounds right, and who is in fact wrong, which is usually you, Misinformation, but we have a good time anyways.
Great.
Yeah.
That's exactly right, Will. We do have a good time here on this show. Now, you say you're going to be taking notes tonight.
Yeah, I'm taking notes.
Actually is right. I'm confused about what you're going to be doing with these notes. Are these just for yours to keep?
I like to write to contestants private emails. I usually don't tell you this, but I write them saying, hey, you were right on this question. Misinformation got it wrong, and formally apologize on behalf of myself and 2MB Studios about the wrong and injustices that were given to them.
Wow. So you give out like secret points.
Secret points, secret sorries and mea culpas to everybody.
Wow. Will, I can't believe we're finding this out tonight. This is news to me, but I'm glad that you're finding your own way to deal with what happens on this show.
It's the only way I can sleep at night, Misinformation.
Okay, good night, Will. Let's bring on our 3 contestants that are here with us tonight. We've got Stacey. Stacey, welcome to the show. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, thank you.
Stacey, thanks for being here. Tell me, what is your strategy tonight? How are you going to win this game and a degree from 2MB University?
Yeah, well, that's good. So last time I talked about the fact that I do have, a degree in library science, which does make me, a librarian and a know-it-all. But that didn't really work for me last time. So this time it's just pure gut instinct that I'm going on here, rather than
Stacey,
this. I'm working with
I'm not going to lie. That's good strategy. Thank strategy.
You.
It's cool that you have a degree, but around here, doesn't mean anything.
No, it was elitist, and I admit it, and I'm coming clean about it. But now I'm gonna be more human. So
sure. Well, thanks for being here. Excited to see how that strategy plays out for you tonight. We've got Fouhy, our second contestant. Fouhy, welcome back to the show.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing? How are you feeling tonight? Confident?
Yeah, as always.
Excellent. Well, that's really gonna work well for you, Fouhy. I'm not gonna lie. You already have an air of confidence. We love to hear that around here. It really helps you sound right.
I am right.
Great. This is a great attitude. I'm almost giving you a point right now, but I'm gonna hold off until we ask our first question because we have a third contestant coming in. We have Marcus here tonight. Marcus, welcome to the show.
Hello. Hi.
Marcus, you are a new contestant to That Sounds Right. You are here tonight. You could be walking away with a diploma at the end of the night from 2MB University. Tell me, do you have a strategy going into this game tonight?
We are on Twitch, and I think I'm the only contestant with controllable lighting for the background, so I clearly have all the power in the setting, so it's fine. That's my strategy, which is lights and smoke, and I am the only Illuminati sponsored comedian, so yes, I have the truth.
Excellent. Wow. Marcus, you're starting off on a great note. This is all you have figured out exactly what this show is about, which is creating an air of correctness or rightness or Will, what was the word we used last week? I think it was veracity.
Veracity. Yeah.
Veracity. Thank you. I learned a new word last week, so I thought I'd try it out. Let's go ahead and get this game started. The chat's already strongly against me, which we love to see here. Let's bring in our first question of the first round contestants, which is, what common household appliance used to be mounted on a horse-drawn carriage? All right. This is a common household appliance, probably something we all know what it is, but it used to be mounted on a horse-drawn carriage in the time of yesteryear, I assume. Stacey, let's go to you first. We're going to hear your answer in just a moment. Audience members, if it's your first time here, what you're going to be hearing is 3 answers from these 3 contestants. One of them is going to be the correct answer. 2 of them are answers that these contestants are just making up on the spot to try and sound right. So we're going to find out who's most convincing here. Stacey, hit us with your answer.
Yeah, the answer is the immersion blender, or at least like the older sort of turn of the 19th to 20th century version of that, where you make soup, like it's that motorized thing and it goes in. But in this case, it was like tightened up, like you tighten a toy, those toys where you pull them back and you tighten it. And the horse would be attached to the Titan thing, and they would run really, really fast around to increase the torque on the immersion blender. And the wife, the woman, the house, right? Like, who are we kidding? It was a woman, would be standing there, and she would just then release it, and then it would blend up the soup.
Great. This seems like a pretty large operation then, which is why it was
logistically a nightmare. Just
excellent, as many things were back then. So it makes
that's why a lot of people starved during the Depression.
Perfect sense.
Long to make soup.
Perfect sense. Fouhy, let's hear from you. What household appliance used to be mounted on a horse-drawn carriage?
The correct answer is a vacuum cleaner. The original vacuum cleaner was this giant. It was one of the early petrol engines was used to power it. It was almost the size of a small car, and they would pull it around through the upper-class neighborhoods of London on a horse-drawn carriage, and then just stick the hose through the windows of houses and vacuum up the rugs and in the corners and on the rafters. And the really interesting the part that I really liked when I read about this was part of the wall of the carriage was clear glass, so that you could see how much dust was getting sucked out of these houses.
So it's like a Dyson?
To both demonstrate how good the vacuum cleaner works and how much dust there is in your house that you're not getting out. And really, you should give me a lot of money to use my vacuum cleaner.
That stands to reason. That's a great marketing tactic. So, Fouhy, you're telling me that in these times, people didn't have one individual vacuum cleaner. They had sort of like a shared one for like the whole town?
Yes. The London Vacuum Company.
The London Vacuum Company.
This guy scraped a bunch of money together. He saw some similar engines at like one of the world's fairs and decided, you know what? I can find a little niche and I can kick it wide open and make a bunch of money fall in.
That's great. That's great, Fouhy. Great answer. Sounds right. Let's hear from Marcus. Marcus, what's your answer? What common household appliance used to be mounted on a horse-drawn carriage?
Well, it depends on what region you are of. I believe that, like, internationally it's known as the bread basket. And everyone who's played the Oregon Trail knows how important resources were, but they used to have it in the front. Every time you could see it in, like, I think Wild Wild West, they had an allusion to it where it like would flop in, flop out. But it was just to keep bread safe. It could also be used for other things, but it was the original bread basket. That'll be my answer. Misinformation. That was from the Illuminati. Thank you. All hail.
That was excellent. Well, we've already got such an air of truth coming from Marcus over there in the corner. So we have a household appliance that used to be drawn by a horse carriage, a horse-drawn carriage. And this appliance was either a bread box, a vacuum cleaner, or an immersion blender. I'm going to say, I like to look at the chat. Chat, you know that you sometimes have an influence on who we give points to. I'm going to give points now to the most correct sounding answer. I haven't been seeing a lot of feedback in the chat, except for from Tina Talon. Now I'm going with vacuum cleaner. Tina, oh, wow. The chat really likes the vacuum cleaner answer, Fouhy. For my first 5 points, I'm going to go out. I'm going to go ahead and give out 5 points to Stacey for immersion blender. That's my bell. That's my bell for 5 points. 5 points. I think that sounds the most right. I think an immersion blender sounds the most right because it's something that people would need to use every day, perhaps. And Stacey had a lot of good details.
I apologize to you, Mr. Fouhy, for the wrong answer. Stacey's incorrect. It was Fouhy.
Yeah. Okay. So, Fouhy, I'm hearing that you were correct about the town vacuum cleaner. That's fine. You're getting 0 points for that just because it wasn't the thing that I thought sounded right. So that's just fine. We're moving on. Stacey, congratulations on your 5 points. The next question is, what Hollywood actor and director made both a Roald Dahl movie and also a revenge film loosely based on Captain Kangaroo and Barney? That's a hell of a question. Let me give you that one again. What Hollywood actor and director, this is an actor and director, that may become important, made both a Roald Dahl movie and also a revenge film loosely based on Captain Kangaroo and Barney? I believe those are both beloved children's characters. Let's go ahead and go to Fouhy for the first answer here. Fouhy, what's the deal?
David Lynch.
David Lynch.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't feel that needs elaboration. I think if you just know David Lynch's work, then you know that I'm right.
Okay. It speaks for itself, Fouhy. I love the confidence. I'm already finding myself pulled and convinced. Let's go to Marcus. Marcus, what actor and director did these things?
Clearly, everything rotates around Always Sunny in Philadelphia, so I'm gonna have to go with Danny DeVito. Yes.
Danny DeVito. Okay. Danny DeVito is actually a great answer because I think, wasn't Danny DeVito in a Roald Dahl movie? Was he not?
Yes. He was the car salesman in
Yes,
Matilda, right? Yeah. But
That's exactly right.
But realistically, I say Danny DeVito for everything, so that could be a lie, but I think it's the most correct answer right here.
Okay. You know, I like the answer. And the chat likes it too so far. Let's go to Stacey. Stacey, what's your answer here? What Hollywood actor and director did these things?
Yeah, it's actually LeVar Burton. He directed an animated version of the Twits movie or the Twits book. You know that Roald Dahl, the Twits, where they're
it's very disturbing.
It's weird, but it was like an animated version of that. And the Captain Kangaroo revenge thing, it's funny because Reading Rainbow and Captain Kangaroo were briefly competitors on the air. And it was just a total like smear job. And I mean, it was very obvious which show won out of that. It's a really weird personal story. They shared a dressing room. It was like they would put pranks against each other. They hated each other, Captain Kangaroo and LeVar Burton. Yeah. Reading Rainbow and they did not get along. Mm-mm.
That kind of makes sense, Stacey, although it's all deeply troubling information. I'm not sure who's right. We've got David Lynch, Danny DeVito, and LeVar Burton. Is that right, Stacey?
LeVar Burton.
Hollywood's big three. That's all.
The only thing in Hollywood that matter.
Center of power.
It could be anybody. I'm particularly thrown by this revenge film loosely based on Captain Kangaroo and Barney. From my 3 contestants, can I quickly just get the name of this revenge film? If you know it, what is the name of this revenge film, Fouhy?
Captain and the Dinosaur?
Captain and the Dinosaur actually makes perfect sense. Marcus?
It's Death to Smoochie, I believe.
Oh. Never heard of it.
Death to Smoochie. Okay, and Stacey?
It's I don't love you. I actually want to kill you, and we're not a happy family.
I don't love you. I actually want to kill you, and we're not a happy family. Each kind of subtitle gets like smaller and smaller on the.
Well, the last
that definitely sounds like a
the
Stephen
title of a 19th century novel.
Yeah, that's definitely a Lynch film right there, or LeVar Burton, at least one of the two.
Yeah. It's I love you, I don't love you, parentheses, we're not a happy family.
Wow. These are terrific answers. It could be anybody. I'm gonna go with the chat. I'm going with the chat support on this one. I'm gonna give 5 points to Marcus. I just don't believe that someone would come up with Death to Smoochie unless that was the truth. So
That's the name of my next novel. So that's just a plug, really. Thank you.
Oh, Will actually here. That is correct. Except the Smoochie and Matilda.
And it was Danny DeVito. I have to say, Marcus, when I first heard you say Danny DeVito, I was like, no. But then I thought about it and I was like, that actually weirdly makes the most sense. It sounds right.
Hollywood's Big Three. There was only 1 in 3 chances that I was going to lose.
Wow. Hollywood's Big Three. So Marcus, you're walking away with 5 points for a correct answer. Of course, that's not something I care about. But what I did care about is that you sounded right, which is why you're getting 5 points from that round. Let's go to question 3, round 1, which is, what is the celebrity paradox trope in film and TV? All right. This is the celebrity paradox trope in film and TV. What is this thing we're talking about? Marcus, I'm coming straight to you first. What is the celebrity paradox trope?
I believe the celebrity paradox trope is breaking the fourth wall and finding your real self. So it's going to be Deadpool finding out that he's played by Ryan Reynolds, or it's also the Zach Morris moment in Saved by the Bell where he like talks directly, but he hasn't found himself yet in the real world yet. So that's the celebrity paradox.
Okay. So this is that thing that they do where the character is like realizing that they are played by an actor, or they are referencing it in some way.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. But it's like me realizing I'm on a game show right now. I just woke up. So.
Excellent. Marcus is giving us an example. And folks, who, if you've watched before, you know that plays strongly in his favor. An example of or a visual aid. These things go a long way. Stacey, let's hear from you.
Yeah, the celebrity paradox is where it's like a break in the universe where you have a celebrity who is like appearing as themselves on a movie or TV show. And then also in the canon of that work, they also exist as a real person. But when they're appearing on the show, they're appearing as a fictional character. So an example that I had is like in the Ocean's 12 movie, Julia Roberts has to, as part of the heist, pretend to be Julia Roberts to get in. So in that universe, it's like Julia Roberts exists as a real person, but then Julia Roberts is playing a fictional character. Yeah.
Right.
So it's a paradox.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a paradox because this same person is both existing as like a character and as themselves.
Yeah, like ostensibly their fictional character is there in front of you, but then that real person, that real celebrity who they actually are is out there in the world.
Yes. Yeah. I think that happened. I feel like that happened on Friends once.
Yeah, a lot of
I think I read about
sitcoms. That. Yeah, where you're like Brad Pitt probably is a real celebrity in the Friendsverse, but he also came on and starred as, Rachel's nemesis or something.
Right.
Yeah,
Stacey, okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. So Marcus and Stacey have both given examples. This is a strong point here. Let's hear from Fouhy. Fouhy, what's your answer?
The celebrity paradox is sort of the disconnect between the celebrity as imagined and the celebrity as they exist as a person. And in particular, the way that everybody knows who they are and how they act, so that you don't actually know them. I think probably the most famous example is Charlie Chaplin coming in third in a Charlie Chaplin lookalike contest. Because everybody knows who Charlie Chaplin is and what he acts like, but when they actually see Charlie Chaplin in real life, there's enough of a disconnect between the image and the self that there is paradoxically a greater chance of you passing over the actual Owen Wilson because he's standing near a guy who kind of looks like Owen Wilson.
Oh, like didn't that happen to Elvis a lot? Elvis Presley?
Happened to Elvis. Elvis is another one where he became runner-up in impersonation contests. I think it happened to Groucho Marx too.
Wow, that's okay. So we have a tough one, folks. We have a tough one on our hands. For those in the audience, 3 strong answers, and each answer had some solid example work in it. So this is a tricky one. I think I'm gonna go with the one.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Stacey,
you
please.
finish your. Well, I just felt the need to defend myself. Abolish the Senate was trying to like out me in the chat, and that is an example I had pre-prepared. So no.
Stacey,
This is now become anti-Senate.
Not pre-prepared, but What I mean is I like already was
The
giving
real
example
clever
when I
ass
was
cover you got
chat,
going on
and
there.
I'm sorry. I had to defend myself. That's all. Finish, please.
Okay,
I'm
Stacey,
sorry.
I
I threw toxicity in here, and now it's just fucked. I'm sorry.
Stacey,
No,
I was
Stacey, own your toxicity. We're about it here at the Illuminati.
Okay, good.
Marcus and Stacey are on the same side. Stacey is against the chat. Stacey, that was not a point in your favor that you said something right after. I'm glad the chat caught it. And you know what happens when I listen to the chat? The chat loves it. So I'm going to give
Thank
5
you.
points to Fouhy. 5 points to Fouhy for an answer that sounds right. Fouhy did not. Nobody in the chat said Elvis. Nobody in the chat talked about Groucho Marx until after he said it, and nobody in the chat mentioned Charlie Chaplin.
All
that
right.
was an answer straight from the nog of
I'm about to
Fouhy.
be vindicated.
Nobody mentioned it in the chat because Fouhy made that shit up. Stacey was correct.
Oh, Stacey, you are correct. All right.
The Julia Roberts example they give on celebrity TV tropes. So, come on. That is like the default example of this trope. So,
Julia Roberts is an incredible woman. I've said it before and I'll say it again. So I love that you mentioned her. I love thinking about her. I love talking about her.
Oh, she's got a beautiful smile.
Beautiful
My go-to
smile.
example for it is Neil Patrick Harris in the Harold and Kumar movies.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, sure. Great. All right. Well, Stacey, you don't get 5 points because the chat beat you to it, I guess, is what really happened here. So didn't sound right. Fouhy, you get 5 points for sounding right. And that brings us to the end of round 1 here. We are at the start of round 2. Before we dive in, I'm going to give you a point update. We are tied. It's 5 to 5 to 5. These contestants are tied. Marcus,
The power three.
You came on, Marcus, to this show for the first time with 2 seasoned losers on this show, and you are really holding your own. So,
it's okay. When we go down together, this was planned.
I believe in you, Marcus. I believe you have it in you to lose.
It's fine. We all can lose together.
Well, that's why I got this cyanide pill in the mail.
Wait, I had to bring mine from home.
Oh,
listen. Marcus, before we move on to round 2, is there anything that you want to share with the audience? Anything that you would like to tell them?
Yeah. I guess if you're in New England and you want to come to comedy shows, come up to Portland, Maine, come see Cabin Fever. But I'm going to be in New York August 1st through 3rd, so I think I have some shows. I don't know. I'm on social media at Marcus Cardona, and yeah, I do stuff sometimes. Maybe I stream here on Twitch, and I play with these lights and then talk about my life. But yeah, not a cry for help whatsoever. Anyway.
Excellent, Marcus. Check out Marcus at Marcus Cardona on Twitter for all those sweet show updates, baby.
Yeah.
Let's dive into round 2. Question 1. In the made-up, improvised, gibberish language, Simlish, spoken by the characters in the Sims video game, there is one phrase that consistently repeats but has no official translation. What is the phrase in Simlish? And what does it mean according to the consensus among game players? All right, that's another heck of a question. Here I go again, one more time. The made-up improvised gibberish language Simlish is spoken by the characters in the Sims video game, and there is one phrase that consistently repeats but has no official translation. What is the phrase in Simlish? And what does it mean according to the consensus among game players? I'm so excited for these answers. Stacey, we're coming to you first. What is the phrase in Simlish, and what do game players conclude it means?
Yeah, it is the phrase "sul," and they usually say it when they're coming or going. So if they're coming in to visit people, visit the neighbors, come to a party, or they're saying goodbye after they've left a date, they'll go "sul." And the consensus is just, it's like aloha. It's like, any sort of universal greeting. Sul.
I like it. I I think that might be true, Stacey. I haven't played a lot of Sims, but it sounds right to me. That sounds like something I've heard on that game. Let's go to Fouhy. Fouhy, what's your answer? What's this phrase?
I've only seen it written down. I haven't played a ton of Sims, but I did kind of go down a wiki rabbit hole researching this. The closest I can pronounce is like Smurtle, and I think it means roughly why are you doing this to me? It's the kind of thing that they say every time that you like delete the ladder on the pool or like remove all of the doors in the room and just kind of leave them to starve to death and die in their own excrement and whatnot. And all
Why
of the
do we
various
all
terrible
do
things
this?
that people do to Sims.
This is a popular activity.
The developers snuck it in there in hopes that like if there was some repeated thing that might kind of form a sort of causal link in the minds of players. So that they would start to feel bad about the way that they treat their terrible little avatars and maybe not commit such horrifying crimes against them as people do in all Sim games all the time.
Yeah, we all do that on Sims. I'm not sure why, but it's like a rite of passage when playing the Sims game. Smurtle Barp Barp might be right, Fouhy, that could be true. It sounds right. It sounds familiar to me that there's a special little phrase that they snuck in there for that in particular. Marcus, what's your answer? What's the phrase and what does it mean?
Okay, so the phrase, I'm like, I don't really speak Sim, but I'm gonna try my best. It's awap bop. It's like that, and then they say that they say that a bunch, and it is because The Sims was created by Buddhists, and they say existence is suffering. So throughout the game, no matter what, if you get in a relationship, you build a house, they say existence is suffering, and it's just like a subliminal message that's in The Sims forever. Yeah, that's what that is. Awap bop, and you'll hear it a lot. Next time you play it again, you're gonna cry. But just letting people know, that's what that is.
Wow. Okay. So our three options are Sul Sul, Smurtle Bop Bop, and Awap Bop. I think those are the three. I had to write them down because I'm not fluent. But here's my issue with Stacey. Stacey, you're getting some support in the chat. I get it. Everyone really is supporting Stacey on this, but I have to say no to Stacey's answer. But here's why. If this was something that people were coming and going with just to be like, hello, goodbye, why would that be untranslated? If there is some sort of dictionary of Simlish, which I'm not sure there is, but if there were, as this question seems to imply, wouldn't that be one of the first phrases that they sort of define? Wouldn't it?
Are you saying that to me? That
just kind of to everybody. Like,
she feels interrogated, so it's clearly not the truth.
I mean, the premise is that it's improvised gibberish.
Listen,
why are you doing this?
I think that I'm okay. It could be anybody. But I'm gonna give 5 points to Fouhy. Yeah, thank you for calling us, because I've heard of this before, and I think that makes sense to me. Why a developer would sort of sneak in a little "Why are you messing with me?" into the game, because they know that people mess with The Sims, and that's my reasoning. 5 points, and I know that I've spurned the chat again. I know, chat. But I really had solid reasoning. I know there's strong support for Stacey in the chat. I just disagree. I think that answer doesn't sound right. That would have an official translation. Will, what are you writing down?
I mean, they're all gibberish words, misinformation. I mean, at this point, it's just anybody's guess. But the chat was on board with Stacey, and I would have. Yeah, Stacey was correct on that one.
Okay.
Sul.
Daddy score point.
Sul. All right.
All right, I'm logging off.
All right.
Sabotage for the content. Sabotage for the content. We're good.
Okay. All right. So Fouhy got 5 points on that answer for sounding right for Smurtle Boop Bop, which sounded right.
Very
he got
jazzy.
points.
Very jazzy.
Smurtle Boop Burp. Let's move on to question 2 in round 2, which is by old. Oh boy. What does this mean? By old papal edict claiming to possess this relic is grounds for automatic excommunication. Papal?
Mhm.
I'm hearing that it's papal.
It's papal.
I almost said PayPal. I can't be right. So I moved farther away from it. Let me go ahead and read that again. By old papal edict, hitting two words I don't know already. By old papal edict, claiming to possess this relic is grounds for automatic excommunication. I think I get it by context. So if you have this relic, bye-bye, is basically what this question means. This is what we have here. And I'm going to go to Fouhy first. So Fouhy, what's this relic?
It's called the Holy Prepuce, which is fancy church speak for the foreskin of Christ. Basically, at one point shortly before the Reformation, there were, I believe, 12 different priories, monasteries, cathedrals, and major religious centers that all claimed that they possessed the actual foreskin of Christ. And this is also in a time where you could wander through the marketplace of any pilgrimage site and pick up enough finger bones of St. John to make about 3.5 hands. And it just kind of contributed to this whole feeling of rot and excess among the Catholic Church, in addition to all of the stuff about indulgences and cardinals having 6 houses and a bunch of things, which sort of undermined a lot of the moral authority of the papacy and in fact led to a lot of the Reformation and its rejection of, for example, relics and saints. And as a result, during the Council of Trent and the Catholic Counter-Reformation, one of the things they decided on was, hey, there's a short list of relics that if you claim to have this, no you don't, fuck you, get out.
Okay, and that thing was the
top of the list was the Holy Prepuce, the foreskin of Jesus.
The foreskin.
Yes.
Of Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Okay. Great. Fouhy, you really caught me up here. As soon as you said papacy, I recognized this word. We're talking about this is related to the Pope, whoever's under the hat. Yeah,
Pontifex Maximus, Vicar of Christ, Bishop of Rome, etc., etc., etc.
Thank you. Excellent. Now I'm really, really on the same page with you, Fouhy, and your answer sounds pretty ridiculous.
You did pronounce edict right.
Jesus Christ. I did pronounce edict right. Excellent. Which essentially, for those of you who don't know in the audience, an edict is basically, it seems something that someone just sort of says. So that's that. Let's move on to Marcus's answer. We're all up to date. Fouhy's answer is foreskin of Jesus Christ. Marcus, please, what is your answer?
So this one, it's if you are in possession of a chapter of the New Testament, it's part of the Bible's epilogue. It's Satan's apology letter to God. If you possess it because they don't want to show Satan as an evil villain throughout that, because it doesn't really match up with the teachings of God. There's that secret chapter. But yeah, they don't want you to know of the truth, guys. Remember.
Okay.
But yeah,
so
that's it.
If you possess a copy of the New Testament, it is grounds for excommunication.
Oh no! The Satan's apology letter to God. That's that is it.
Letter.
Yeah, it's ripped out. If you find the original Bible, New Testament and everything like that, it's oh, what's this one missing page? And they're just shh.
Satan was
we don't talk about that.
My bad. Big sorry, God. And then they ripped out that letter because they were get out of here, Satan. Marcus, we're on the same page. Excellent. Okay, so Fouhy's answer is foreskin of Jesus Christ. Marcus's answer is Satan saying, my bad. These are both great.
It was deeper words. It was Satan's letter to God, and then it went into old Bible speak, but it was essentially LOL JK, my bad. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I can't. I'm simply a game show host. I cannot expect to be as eloquent as Satan himself. Satan and game show hosts are just cousins. We're not on the same level.
Let's go to the same parties.
Yeah, it's okay. I totally noticed the red. Subtle, very subtle.
Perfect. Yeah, it's a subtle touch. Stacey, let's hear your answer. Stacey, what is this relic that's grounds for automatic excommunication?
Well, so stick with me here because it's going to sound unbelievable at first. And that is the Pope's Netflix password. And it's because I know that that's not an old thing, but it's one of those things where when the edict was initially written, it was written in this sort of like generic way where it was really like, because there used to be like code words that the Pope would have to give at the head of his chamber so that his like handmaiden men, I don't know what they're called, I'm not Catholic, but like the little boys that would service would be at the door to let him in, and he'd have to give a special password. And so if you were to ever give out that password, and so the way that that's been generally written, it's just sort of transcended time. So whether it's his diary password or whether it's whatever passwords that have come into existence throughout time, and cut to now, and this Netflix password fully is, encaptured by the, it's under the umbrella of this edict. So if you were to give out the Pope's Netflix password, you fucked.
Much like the Pope, I too have a diary locked by a password.
Yeah. Guys, coming to Hulu soon. Pope's Handmaidens. Pope's Handmaidens Tale.
Yeah.
Wasn't already an HBO show?
Here's the thing.
The new Pope's Handmaidens Tale.
Here's the thing.
Rebooting a classic from the 90s.
Stacey's answer.
Thank you, Exploding Lobster.
Stacey's answer is getting some support in the chat. The other two answers were Jesus Christ's foreskin or Satan's apology. Both of those answers are ridiculous. And so is Stacey's answer. But we get surprising questions and surprising answers on this show all the time. And wouldn't it make sense for this kind of like an archaic rule of language of like a special password, like being just vague enough to be translated to like, you cannot have the Pope's password to anything. Netflix, Wi-Fi, bank.
Yep.
So
keep going. Bank.
Yeah. So it makes sense to me why that would transcend the tests of time, wouldn't it? There are some support for Stacey in the chat, so I'm gonna go with the chat on this one for some of you people out there and go 5 points to Stacey. Because I know there's a lot of support for Fouhy's answer, but I don't want to say foreskin again. Again and again and again, I have to say foreskin on this show.
That's why I used the word prepuce, so you wouldn't have to.
I don't know the word prepuce, Fouhy.
Now you do.
It's been a big day. Papal edict. We learned a lot today.
Edict,
PayPal, yeah, the PayPal.
Random vocabularies all over the place. That's my job.
You cannot know the Pope's PayPal password. Hey, Will.
Yes, misinformation.
Was it the foreskin?
It was the foreskin.
I love the way he said that. So trepidate. Well, it was the foreskin, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. The chat is usually right. Not always. Let it be shown, but the chat is often right. The chat knows things. But you know what? I'm the host of the show. I gave 5 points to Stacey for sounding right, and the answer I chose was passwords, Netflix password, and that's my right. Let's go to the third question in the second round. The Roman tradition is the genesis of the term candidate. I'm sorry. This Roman tradition. Did I say that the first time? This Roman tradition is the genesis of the word candidate. Okay? So there's some Roman tradition, and this is how the word candidate came about. That's what I'm understanding from this question. Marcus, let's go to you first. Can you describe this Roman tradition?
Okay, so this one, it actually varies. So this could actually be a 2-answer one because of candidate, but also candid. So this was a traditional, I believe it was candidus. It was where the original people were, it was back in like Roman times where people were like just doing what they were doing naturally. And they're like, hey, you're pretty good at that. That should be your job. And that's how they had assigned jobs back in the day. There was no LinkedIn. There was no Indeed. They were just like, hey, you look pretty good at doing that. So candidates is one that comes from this tradition of candidus, but also candid, as in like they weren't like posing for photos. They're like, oh, you're pretty good at being like that. That was also part of it. So it was candidus, and that was the tradition of that became candidate, which was someone who's good at their job, but also candid, which is someone who just like is doing something naturally, not like, posing or faking it or whatever. This is an example, right?
Yeah. Marcus, that makes perfect sense. If someone's just doing something naturally, they're being very candid about it, and you would want them to be, the candidate for
the candidate. Yeah, exactly.
For whatever job.
Exactly.
I really like that answer. That's going to be tough to beat. Stacey, why don't you try? Stacey, what's your answer? What is the Roman tradition?
Yeah, well, the ancient Roman Empire had their version of The Bachelor, and women would compete for the love of like one of the more of the wealthier men, in town, and they would. This is really funny. They would actually compete for a candy date. So he would just take them out to eat candy.
So it was.
You're competing for a candy date.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so there were multiple sort of candidates for one. What they were competing for was one date with a
candy date.
A candy date specifically.
They were competing specifically for a date to sit and eat candy because candy is so freaking rare back in those times. Do you know? Sugar, please.
Okay, so it wasn't about the Bachelor themselves. It was about
really more about getting to go and eat candy. It was a time to get out of the slums. You're there with your stringy, greased hair just in your face. And for a moment to just live in the sun and eat a piece of candy, huge back then. Great.
So it's either Marcus's answer or candy date from Stacey. Could be true. Sounds right. We have some nice root words going on in both of these answers. Let's go ahead and hear from Fouhy. Fouhy, what is this tradition?
All right, here's the real skinny instead of these obviously fabricated lies. So the first thing that I have to do as sort of a background is dispel a lot of ideas of what you think of when you think of ancient Rome. This dates back to the Republican period. We have a vision of Romans as very austere, draped in white in their fancy marble city.
Okay.
That's not really how it works, especially not in the Republican era. Everybody wears a toga. They're usually undyed wool, so it ends up kind of beige or gray, but that's only if you're poor. If you're not poor or not a nobody, then there's actually a bunch of different kinds of patterns and colors that say a lot about who you are on your toga.
Wow.
For example, senators and magistrates would have little strips of red or purple along the edges. Triumphant generals during their triumphs would have really elaborate ones with embroidery and symbols and patterns.
Like Girl Scout sashes.
Not unlike that. That's not the worst analogy I've heard. But the important one for this is the toga candida, which is just a plain white toga. You would bleach it with lye, you would cover it in chalk dust, and it would just be this plain, bright white. And that signals that you are running for office because it does a couple of things. One, it makes you stand out. Two, it demonstrates purity, forthrightness, honesty, and just generally symbolizes the cleanliness of your character and spirit and your desire to selflessly serve the Roman state. And also it demonstrates that you are rich enough to wear a plain white toga and keep wearing a plain white toga every day in the shit-filled streets of Republican Rome.
Wow.
And
that sounds difficult.
In candida means in white. Candidus means person wearing white. But eventually the tradition of wearing white to announce your candidacy goes away, and they don't stop using the word. And yes, Marcus did kind of pull that there. Candid is also derived from the same thing. Candid and candidate are derived both from the the toga candida tradition.
Right. You might say that Fouhy is deriving his answer from Marcus's answer.
No, I'm not. Roman history is kind of my thing.
Wait.
Wow.
Wait.
Wow.
This tattoo's not related, but I wanted to show it too.
Marcus also has a tattoo. Please let the record show that Marcus also has a tattoo. Okay. Stacey's answer is candy date.
The shortest answer, most straightforward one.
Fouhy's answer is white. Marcus's answer is candid.
Candid.
So we have root words in all these. Any of these could be true. You know, I have seen a fair amount of movies. Movies in which they had a little something called toga parties, in which some of the most unsavory characters would be wearing these bright white garments, always very white. I'm not sure if I'm convinced. I think the most right sounding answer to me is candid. It's the word I know. I don't know the word candida. It may exist. It may not. I know the word candid. Therefore, that answer sounds super right to this host, who's giving 5 points to Marcus for candid behavior.
Thank you.
Marcus,
I was imposed whatsoever.
that's 5 points to you for sounding right.
Will actually here. That is incorrect. It was in fact Fouhy.
Will.
He had a
Come
really
on.
good tattoo. The tattoo was totally worth it. Next time at trivia.
Will, do you see my reasoning though?
Not really.
Will,
To be honest, I think we had a very well-reasoned answer.
What? Do you want to answer a
oh,
question?
we
You want to answer a question, buddy?
Cameo dog. Give him the points. Take my points back. Give it to the
all
dog.
right. It's all tied up. It's all tied up. Listen, we gotta really crank the engine on this. We gotta turn the third round into a speed round. Okay, we're going into the third round. It's gonna be a speed round. It's all tied up, 10-10. It's anybody's game. Fouhy, is there anything you want to share with the audience?
Not until live performance starts again.
We'll count it down for you, Fouhy. Let's go to round 3. Question 1. Between the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and Cedar Point Amusement Park, what destination does the Cleveland, Ohio Visitor Center list as the second most major attraction? Okay, this is the second most major attraction listed at the Cleveland, Ohio Visitor Center, right between Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and Cedar Point Amusement Park. This is going to be a major attraction in Ohio. All I need is a speed round. You got 5 seconds to answer, and all you gotta tell me is what this attraction is. Stacey, you first.
It's the house from A Christmas Story.
The house from A Christmas Story. Fouhy.
Old, unreliable, the geyser that fires at completely random intervals.
Old, unreliable, the random geyser, and Marcus.
The house from the Drew Carey show.
The house from the Drew Carey show. Okay. It's either one of these famous houses or an unpredictable geyser. The one that sounds the most right to me is the Christmas Story one. I feel like there's always a Christmas-themed attraction at a lot of these places. Stacey, you've got support in the chat. Let's go with you. 5 points to the Christmas Story house.
Oh, and that is correct.
Look at that. Wow, Will.
Yeah, I thought that was filmed in Michigan. I don't know
Things
why.
are really picking up for Will in this last round. Things are looking up. Let's see if we can keep it up to make our our Will actually happy. The second question in round 3 is, what Stephen King novel has a location setting in Buxton, Maine? I'm looking for the name of a Stephen King novel that has a location setting in Buxton, Maine. All right, Fouhy, let's hear from you. What book is this?
It's Salem's Lot. It's the next town over where the priest flees to at the end.
Salem's Lot. Marcus, let's hear from you. What's this Stephen King novel?
It's the Shawshank Redemption. It's the tree underneath with the rock with the directions to Mexico.
In Buxton, Maine. Buxton, Maine. I'm trying to remember Shawshank Redemption. That could be true. Stacey, let's hear from you. Buxton, Maine.
Yeah, it's Needful Things. It's the town with the enchanted weird toys.
Oh, I like that answer,
Is that
Stacey.
Toy Story?
Toy Story. Oh, Stacey, forget it. Marcus has support in the chat. You almost had me. Marcus has support in the chat. Let's go with Marcus. 5 points. 5 points, Marcus, since he's in Maine. We say in the chat. So that's good reasoning. Will.
Yep.
And that's correct. Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, Will, are you happy?
I'm so happy. Finishing strong. Let's do it. One more.
One more. Here we go. Question 3, round 3. What writer is best known for gonzo journalism? Gonzo journalism. What writer is best known for this? I don't know what it is. You better tell me quickly in like 10 seconds. Marcus, what writer is best known for gonzo journalism?
I believe it's Fear and Loathing's Hunter S. Thompson, I want to say.
Hunter S. Thompson. And what is gonzo journalism?
It's where you write as a character from your own perspective, basically. So it's like it's a story. It's basically, instead of like journalism, like from the outside, it's journalism from your character.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. I think that's cool. Stacey, what's your answer? What writer is best known for gonzo journalism?
It's Barbara Walters.
What's gonzo journalism?
Oh, what gonzo journalism is? Oh, it just means that you are. It's not affiliated with the Muppet. It's more like it's remote journalism. Like you're gone. You're not there. You're not in the zone.
You're gonzo. You're not here. You are gonzo. You're out.
I know the candidate answer might make it seem like gonzo. That's what I'm doing here.
I like it. Gonzo
in
girl in the chat.
Zone and there's being gone. So you're gonzo, and she never did any field journalism, so she's always gonzo.
Excellent. Renata Snacks is getting a bonus comedy point in the chat for Gonzo Girl. That's a callback to last week's show. Renata Snacks, thank you. Thank you for the callback. Thank you for sticking around. Fouhy, let's hear from you. What writer is best known for Gonzo journalism?
Frank Oz used to write a theater review column for the New York Magazine in the character of the Muppet Gonzo.
Wait, he would write as Gonzo?
Yeah.
From the Muppets?
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Okay, so it's either I'm not going to recap these answers. They were all terrific. I've got to give 5 points to Marcus again. Marcus, you have support in the chat. Writing from a character. I think that probably makes the most sense. Stacey's answer was funny. Fouhy's answer was also funny, but I think Marcus sounds right. Writing from a character.
And Marcus is right. That is correct.
Yeah!
Hunter S. Thompson.
Will, a perfect last round.
Yeah, I feel good. Anybody else feel good going into this last round?
Wow, we really turned it around for you. Not for me. As a reminder to the chat, I don't care if the right person gets the points, because in my mind, the right person is always getting the right points if they sound right. But I love to make Will happy because he's my best friend. Let's dive into the bonus lightning round. Folks, you have like 1 second to answer. Folks in the chat, if it's your first time here, you can give bonus points to each contestant by writing their name in the chat. If you think they deserve a bonus point, throw their name in the chat as we go. Let's do this. Here we go. What's that first question? Marcus, what is this?
This is knocked over corn bales, clearly from the storm of Katrina. Yep.
Fouhy, what is this?
Plants.
Stacey.
Oh, sorry. Rice patty.
Rice patty. Will, what is this actually?
Those are ginger fields in Brazil.
Ginger fields. Ooh, looks good. Next question. Marcus, who is this?
That's the dog of the mask, clearly from
the dog of the mask. Excellent.
Yep.
Who is this?
Wishbone from the old PBS show.
Stacey, who is this?
That's the cousin of Frasier's dad's dog.
Oh,
Eddie.
another famous dog. Will, who is this actually?
That is Milo from The Mask.
Milo from
Milo.
Wait, is that actually from The Mask?
Yeah, the movie The Mask. Yeah.
There's the mask in the photo.
Before he transformed. Sure.
I really thought it was Wishbone. That's really funny. You really had me, Fouhy.
No, that's a good one. Wishbone from the Man in the Iron Mask. That could work.
Wow, excellent. Let's go to the next question. Marcus, what is this?
This is actually the apology letter to Satan. this was I was like, yo, you guys didn't believe me before. I'm like, guys, you guys have it right here. What are you talking about?
Fouhy, what is this?
This is Satan and his husband at marriage counseling.
No shame in that. No shame in that, Satan. Stacey, what is this?
Yeah, this is the fun, getting career counseling.
Will, what is this actually?
This is a clip from the TV show Evil on CBS.
All right. CBS show. Thank you. One more, Will. Let's finish this up.
Man.
Marcus, where is this?
This is clearly the capital from the Hunger Games. So yeah, that's where that is. This isn't a real photo.
Fouhy, where is this?
This is the Tuileries Palace in Paris. The Eiffel Tower is just off screen.
Excellent. Stacey, where is this?
Where is this? This is in Monaco.
Will, where is this actually?
This is the Royal Palace of Madrid.
The Royal Palace of Madrid. Excellent. Folks, we've got a couple more questions coming in. Stacey, before I announce a winner, as I am adding up these bonus points, is there anything you want to tell the audience?
I do actually. August 28th at the Rockwell in Davis Square, Somerville Night Live is coming back. And if you don't know, that's like it was happening before the pandemic. Spaces were booked to do the show, and then the pandemic happened, but it's coming back. It's like our version of Saturday Night Live. We have a week to put together a sketch show. I'm not performing it. I'm going to be writing in it. So look out for that at the end of August. Live sketch theater coming comedy.
Wow. Stacey, I'm so excited to hear that. I did not know that. I'm very excited for that show. Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I'm here to announce a winner. Coming in with a landslide of bonus points is our winner and graduate from 2MB University, Marcus Cardona. Marcus, congratulations.
I just want to say, Stacey and Fouhy, I was gonna sabotage for the content so that way we would all win this week. But I apologize. It was mostly Satan. I know Satan was on my side. The Illuminati. They said that this was an easy walk on. I'm sorry,
Marcus,
but thank you.
No, we knew it was an uphill battle with you name grabbed your affiliation. So.
I am so shocked that Marcus is the first contestant on this show to thank Satan. But thank you, Marcus, for coming on.
Really?
Congratulations on being a graduate from
It had to
2MB
happen
University.
sometime.
Yeah. Anyone else who's said thanks Satan on the show afterwards is a hack. So thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on. Fouhy and Stacey, thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Will, actually, for all that you do. Chat, thank you. And stick around for Poof, the Magical Game Show. That Sounds Right is going to be going on a break, so you won't see us for a little while. But in the meantime, I would like to say from all of us here at That Sounds Right, Sool and good night.
So.